You're listening to Spotlight on Business on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, here's your host, Laura Smith.
Welcome back to the Style File 2026. That's the style we're going for right now. Danny Reynolds is in the house. He is part of a family dynasty, say, in Elkhart, Indiana. They've been on Main Street in Elkhart for 94 years. Not the Reynolds family exactly, but almost as long, it seems like. And but how is it that a store that's been there for so long in the same spot, and yet everything when you go in there is current? It's New York, it's Midwest, it's California. Like, you've got the latest style and fashion for even Europe. Because when I was in Europe, I saw a store that carried the beautiful designer the Ribkoff, that I absolutely love. I have so many pieces from that. And I was in Europe and I saw they had that. And I was like, Danny is just unbelievable. His family understands that they have universal styles at Stephensons that you really can't find anywhere else in our area.
Yeah, that way, that's kind of one of the fun parts of the business. We were talking about things like credit card swipe fees, and can discuss the organized retail crime thing for a second. Those are the ends of the business that we have to take care of, and we feel like we have an obligation to ourselves and other retailers out there to do so. But the merchandising end is a little bit more the fun part, where we get to, kind of really try to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening with society. And I always say, take that New York runway fashion and sort of filter it down to Main Street, Elkhart. What makes sense for the people of our community to want to wear.
Yeah, and you did it so perfectly, because I had my daughter and my daughter's boyfriend, and they live in Boulder, Colorado. But my daughter grew up in New York and New York City, and then lived in Europe for 7-8 years. And they both are, they're only attracted, obviously, to things that they're wearing at age 37 or 35. And yet I go in there and I feel totally comfortable in what I find in there for me, too. So it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 70s. You have something for everybody at Stephensons. It really is one-stop shopping. You don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I always feel like true style is sort of timeless and ageless. Now, what your daughter may perceive as stylish might be a little bit different from what you do. But, at the end of the day, my wife and daughter share clothes with one another, so, and my wife has things that Ribkoff things that she got back when we got married. And I hate to
she
admit
can still wear them.
How many decades ago that's been. Yeah. So, fashion comes and go, but style is timeless. And we like to try to keep that in mind. We're current. We do sort of evolve with the landscape as far as some trends go, but we're not trendy. We don't want people coming in to buy things that are going to look outdated in a season or a year or 2 or 3. No. We want people to buy investment pieces that are going to be around with them for a long time. And then, I feel like it's sort of about wardrobe building or style building, developing your own kind of style. And then you come in and find pieces that are going to be complementary to those that you already have. We're not talking about sort of, closet revolution every season.
Right.
Let's build a wardrobe.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking not just for casual wear, but also formal wear, wedding wear, men's wear. I mean, you cover so much of it. It's a pleasure, because you know that whether you need to go in for a new cool pair of jeans or you need to go in for your next gown or mother of the bride dress, it's all there. And that's what I love about Stephenson so much. And the prices are fair. And so we were talking in the first segment about you going to Washington representing the Retail Federation. And then you gave a tease about something about retail crime.
Yeah,
I thought
that sexy.
I know back, in New York in the 70s and the mafia being involved in 7th Avenue fashion and things like that was a real thing. Is it still?
That's probably a conversation for a whole another episode. It maybe has manifests itself differently these days. We'll just say that there's some of that. But organized retail crime, Laura, is completely different from that. I'll keep it short and sweet here because I know this isn't, again, a real sexy topic, but it is a real topic and something to be mindful of because it can very, very easily and quickly run prices up on everyday purchases. And it's something that is right out there in front of our faces and not a lot of people stop and take the time to think about. It can manifest itself in very, very different ways, but there are large networks. I mean, at the ground level, it can mean, if you remember, especially coming out of pandemic and a few years ago, where, Nordstrom was closing up stores in cities like Seattle, obviously Minneapolis may be more current with some of these issues because mobs are breaking windows and doors coming in and taking things in bulk. That's the ground level of organized retail crime. This is thought out. They decide, they pick a spot, they go in and do it. But what we're seeing a lot more of, what's a lot more prevalent these days, are the things that are happening with online retail. Obviously, online retail is very prevalent these days. We all shop to certain extents for different types of items online. And the retail return fraud rate is through the roof. So, in some cases, I've seen estimates at certain levels of retail where the return rates are close to 70%.
Well, why?
So people know that they can get away with things, that there's so much returning happening that businesses, take an Amazon, there's no way that they can process all these returns. So a number of different things happen. You buy something, people are buying things intentionally at low prices, knowing that the shipping charges are going to outweigh what it's going to cost to return it. So they're doing it knowing that they're going to get refunded, not have to return an item. That's on a small scale, but there are people buying things, using them for whatever it is, whether it's a dress you're going to wear or a tool you're going to use, and then returning it, knowing that Amazon's not going to be able to have the time to go through and investigate all these returns coming in. They scan it, you get your refund, and on you move.
That's
so
sad.
There are groups doing things like that at large levels, at mass. And it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And then we have the whole element of the designer knockoff, which, you and I go back to Chinatown, Canal Street, Mulberry Street, going up Little Italy in New York, where you used to be able to get a Gucci belt or a Louis Vuitton purse, and it might be spelled wrong, or the metal's flaking off the logo by the time or the Folex watch, or whatever it might be. Well, that's happening at much larger scale now because it's all available online, and folks need to be really careful. So much of what's out there is obviously not legitimate merchandise, but it also in many cases isn't even merchandise at all. You may buy from some shady website and you'll be very lucky to ever get any package in the mail.
Oh my gosh.
They get your credit card information. They sell that for one. Ugh. They don't send you anything. Then they shut down and reopen under a different name. So there's a lot of that stuff going on out there. And I urge folks to be careful. Mm-hmm. Again, I understand that online shopping is going nowhere, but you need to be vigilant.
Yes.
Keep your guard up, watch out, and when in doubt, shop local.
Be vigilant. Don't be a vigilante. It sounds like the Wild West.
Really? In some ways,
this is crazy.
In some ways, it kind of is.
Just sad, but all the more reason why you can walk into a store like Stephensons of Elkhart and not only be greeted by, one family member, but from three different generations. They know you. They know your taste. They'll help you. I mean, you become actually friends, and it's such a beautiful experience. It, to me, is what it's all about. And, it can make you forget for a time that you're in there. You kind of don't know what time it is. You kind of lose all sense of that. You just really enjoy the experience, which is rare these days. So Stephensons of Elkhart is just that. And so I'm so grateful, Danny, that you and your family, how you managed to stay in business throughout all of the things in the world for 94 years.
95 now.
95. I keep saying 95. 95 years now.
At this age, they all count. So
So, and then you often talk about what is the sweet spot? What is the recipe that would allow you to get through world wars and pandemics and retail mania with fraud and things like that? What is it about Stephensons of Elkhart, besides what I've just said about it from my own perspective? What is it that you think that you've learned?
I could go the easy route and quote, I think it was Dr. Scholl's that said, early to bed, early to rise, work like heck and advertise. But honestly, it's a lot of hard work, but I always say, let's never lose focus on what, more importantly, who got us where we are, and that's the customer. If all of our focus is on the customer, I think we're going to be okay. It's not going to be easy at times, and there are always going to be challenges and new things coming our way. These macroeconomic issues that we oftentimes feel we have no control over, we do have control over how we go about taking care of our customers and rewarding them, and hopefully that will bring them back. And, even through economic downtimes, recessions, things like that, there are always going to be special occasions in people's lives. Mm-hmm. Weddings may get downsized, even global pandemics. Maybe the wedding goes from the cathedral to the backyard, or the prom budget gets cut in half because mom or dad might not be working right now, whatever it might be. But people still need to enjoy life. They need to have special events, especially during the tough times. Sometimes we need these things to lift us up. So we're always mindful of that too. And listen, we're family people. I've got kids. I understand how expensive these things can be. So we're always trying to be, we have nice things, but we're trying to be mindful of families' budgets and keep our prices, well within what's attainable to the average family.
And I think shopping will always, on some level, be therapy. I'm just going to say it. Thank you so much. Danny Reynolds, Happy New Year to you and Stephensons of Elkhart. I know you have some great sales going on and also gearing up for even prom and weddings and everything else that you do there. I'll see you probably in a day or two.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Stephensons of Elkhart, right on Main Street in downtown Elkhart, where it's been for the last 95 years, across the street from the Vine. I'm Laura Smith, and thank you for listening to The Style File.
If you missed any part of today's show, log on to 953mnc.com and look for the Spotlight on Business podcast. Be sure to tune in again next Sunday afternoon at 4:30 for Spotlight on Business on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Podcasts by Federated Media.